This story is about a young boy. And when we say young, we mean between 10 and older, right? And he was quite a beautiful boy. And he was very soft and very gentle, very kind boy. He was, he liked to play, and he liked to be with the other boys, but he was just very soft and gentle. And of course, the boys were encouraged to hunt, fight, and what have you. And he would be taken out on hunts, and the hunts were never successful when he was there. Never successful. And they would take him, never successful. Take him, nothing successful. So he became like a bit of a bad luck charm. And the people couldn't not like him because he was so soft and gentle and kind, but they became wary of him because when he was on a hunt, it was not successful. So eventually he was not accepted to go with anybody. Even his father couldn't take him because otherwise they would have starved. They'd ask him why, and he couldn't explain himself. He didn't, because for him nothing was happening. He was with his father or his brothers or other men of the group. So eventually, as he got a little bit older and he was not getting those skills, he was going to become unmarriageable because he would not be able to support his family. And he was, also becoming, as he got older, people were more wary of him, which of course then bled into the family. They were wary of the family, and they didn't want their daughters marrying into this family because it could be like a curse. But as the boy grew older, he became more beautiful, and he was strong, and he was kind and gentle. He could see things. He was always available to help. And this confused the people because when he would first be there to help, they would, and then they would realize who it was and they would push away. But this confused them greatly. So this went on for some time. In this particular group, this was not a nomadic group, this was a settled group. They didn't have a shaman. They had women who were knowledgeable about herbs and midwifery and things like that, but not deeper skills, shall we say. And there was word that there was a clan or a tribe that was coming close to them because their hunting grounds had been disrupted by or affected by another tribe, a settled group who had infringed in their space. So they were not able to maintain the amount of food. So they were traveling closer to settled places. That's just the way of the world. So the father heard that these people were coming and that it was assumed that there would be a shaman with them because most of the nomadic groups had that person because it was considered a necessity. So the father went to the group, and of course there was a lot of, why are you here, and the chest beating of the men and this type of thing. And the father had taken the boy with him. He was a young man by now, and in that time would have been married and had children already. Well, at least be married. So he was trying to explain to them, but their language was slightly different, so that was difficult. But the shaman sensed something and came out and did this, and everybody melted away. And she came out and she looked at the boy, and the boy looked at her, and there was no fear from him. There was no resistance, but there was also no familiarity. There was no as if he knew all along or he'd met this person before. There was none of that. It was just a very amicable situation. So she walked up to him, she looked at him for some time, turned around and started to walk away, and he just followed her. And the father sat out of the group for some time. The others sat all on alert. The boy was with the shaman for quite some time, and the group eventually brought the father into their fold whilst they were waiting, because it was several days before the boy was in there. And what transpired in the space of the shaman was quite interesting, because it was not the shaman trying to heal the boy or instruct the boy or find out what was wrong with the boy, but it was in fact the boy teaching the shaman. And the boy, for the first time, was able to express his experience of life, of his experience of life. And the shaman was transfixed by this experience, because it was, for a non-shamanic individual, was quite a rare experience. And this boy was not shaman. He was not a shaman. Did not, and that was not just because the group didn't have a shaman. It wasn't a thing, but he was not a shaman. And what he taught, or what he explained to the shaman in his teaching time with her, was that when he explained his experience when he went hunting. They would never get anything, and then the people in the town or the village became wary of him. So he was explaining all of these things. His whole life was being explained, and as he spoke about these things, he became sort of grey. He became, yes, grey, not dark, but the light was dimmed. He was grey. So then the shaman asked, when you are hunting, what is your experience? What happens to you? And his experience was that when they were hunting, he would be with whoever. He said, I can feel my heart, and then next to my heart, I can feel another heart. And they are beating at a different pace. He said, when it first happened to me, I was puzzled. And then I became alarmed. And then he said they became equal. They beat at the same pace, the same rhythm. And I realized, and he said, and then I had this feeling that I was, not that I was the animal that we were hunting, but that we were of the same heart. We were of the same heart. And when I realized that, I became alarmed for the animal, because we were of the same heart. If the animal died, would I die? So when that alarm occurred, the animal would flee. And he said it happened every time. And he said, I tried not to be alarmed. I tried not to feel vulnerable or that I was in any danger, because I wasn't in any danger. But he said I could never move past that moment of when we became the one heart, that the alarm would come and I would feel and that when I did then the animal would know and would go. And as he was talking about this, he started to change color. He started to light up. And then she said, well, when you are with humans, when you are with your people, and you see something that needs help, or that you sense something is wrong, what happens? He said, it's the same. I have two hearts, and then I become one heart. But with the people that I know in my group, he said, it's different, because it's as if I am drawn to them. And I just feel like sometimes I appear. I don't even remember walking to them. I just appear, and there I am. And when they first see me, they are overjoyed, as if we are one heart. But then they realize who I am, and then it's like my heart is ripped like this. And as he spoke about that, the color faded, and she realized that he was a true gift, and that he had the opportunity or the possibility of being not a great leader, but a great asset to any group if they could understand his special attribute. She had never come across this before. She had heard stories, but had never come across it before. So she said to him, what do you want from us? What do you want from me? And he said, I would like to be free. I would like to be able to be like everybody else and not have this experience, so that I can be accepted by the people that I'm with, and I can have a family, and that I can hunt, and all of these things. So she said to him, well, let's journey. But she spoke in different ways, but effectively there was a journey that was had. And in that journey, she gave him the vision, or took him down that path of not having the heart connections, and just being like everybody else. And what he experienced was a shadow. He became a wraith. He was no longer solid and physical human. He became just like a shell. There was nothing inside. There was loneliness, and there was distress, and there was a feeling of worthlessness and uselessness. And when he came out of it, he was angry with her, because he said, why would I feel all of those things? I am those things now. So, but you don't feel those things now. You feel as if you have a fullness of being. When you are able to fulfill your one-heartedness with others, you shine. When that's not possible, you dim. She said, this for you is a gift and a curse. You can choose it as a curse and live your life like you're living. You can choose it as a gift and start to utilize it for the benefit of yourself, for others, for your group. And he was alarmed, but he said, they don't want me. They don't want it. And so there was time where they were together discussing this. He slept for quite a long time. After about 3 or 4 days, they emerged from the shelter. And she said to the father, you have two options. You take him and you live the life that you've been living, and you feel that your family is cursed, your village feels that you are cursed and you are cursing them, or he stays with us and we will learn from his gift, and we will develop ourselves from his gift. Of course, the father didn't know what she was talking about, because for him, why would they experience a curse, and they would his people would experience a curse, and their people would experience a gift? So he said to the boy, what do you want to do? What do you want? And he said, well, Father, if I come back, it will be a curse. Everybody will feel it's a curse. So if I can experience my life as a gift, and I can do that here, then I must stay here. And you brought me here, so you knew this was for me. And for that I thank you. The father, of course, was distraught because he truly loved the son, because he was a beautiful human being. But the father realized the wisdom of what was being said and left the boy there. When the father went back to the group, he explained what had happened. And they were relieved. They felt joyous. They felt as if there had been something had lifted from them. They no longer felt as if they had to be wary, as if they had to be on guard. The boy in the nomadic group, he became what you would call now a celebrity. He became very well known. He became honored because he could tell, he knew that someone was ill before they knew they were ill. He knew that danger was coming before they knew danger was coming. The shaman, she did not find this competition at all. For her, it was an enhancement for her group, for her whole group, and for the betterment and development of that whole. So he was able to live his life in a fulfilled, meaningful way, and he benefited the group, the new group that he was in. The village that he came from, they became sad. They became sad. Not because the boy had gone, but because the light that he shone, even when it was brief, was so strong that it gave like an uplifting experience, even in that moment that they experienced it. And none of them realized how much he benefited them in the village. So the village itself became quite sad. The village became sad. Not so much, this of course affected the people, but there was a sadness in the village. It was as if the boy had come out of the spirit of the village to help the village, not just the womb of his mother, but the spirit of the village had created to make the village more, to buoy the village, to give the village something special. The meaning of this story really is that we all see things differently, but we generally see things by how they affect us. So even in both situations, they saw this boy as how he could benefit or not the group. In one group, they saw his gift as a curse, and that he was of no benefit because the effect on them seemed to be negative. The other group saw his gift as a gift, and that it would benefit that group because it affected them positively, but because they saw it for what it was. So both groups were mercenary, if you like, in their use or non-use of this individual. But one group gave him the space to express himself, to experience himself, and they benefited, and they supported him in that. So when you are looking at things from a journey point of view, if you look at that journey, which was just a small, tiny part of this story, it gave him a view of himself without his gift. Many people that you will come across find their gifts a burden, but without their gift, there is a loss, there is a hollowness. Most of those people that find their gift a burden find it a burden because they are in. Most of them find it a burden because they are in groups like the village, where their gift is not understood and it is seen as something that is negatively affecting the people. It's important for these people to be shown a way that the gift that they have is fundamental to their existence. it's not just a present. It's not just something that they are special at or can do. That is something that is within them that possibly other people can't do. And it's not a burden. It can be a burden. But in the right environment, with the right teaching, the right understanding, it can be opened up, it can flourish, and it can benefit many people. You will still be used, it will still be used, but it will be in a way that fulfills you, or them, and the people that are around them. And the journey was the thing that showed him that. The shaman could have talked and talked and talked and talked, but he had to see it for himself. He had to experience the loss, the freedom, in inverted commas, from his gift. He had to experience that himself. A lot of people close down their gifts and they have difficult lives. If they can see through a journey what the possibilities are, then they are more informed without having to lose part of their life before they realize.